Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's the Morning Deuce. I'm back in the studio in San Diego. So, after several different deuces in several different cities, it's good to be back home. Got in very early Thursday morning after leaving very early East Coast time. Sorry, got in very early Wednesday morning after leaving very early Wednesday East Coast time. Got here, worked a straight 8.5 hour day. It felt very, very, very long. But like I said, I'm just not good at taking that day off to travel because I always want to spend the time in the place where I am. And so I suffer the consequences with usually a horrible return day. I realize I always say this. I'm terrible at frequent flyer miles. I feel like I'm giving away free money because I just book whatever airline is the cheapest and I never keep track of it. And because I don't have a loyalty to an airline, and then all of a sudden I realize I end up booking the same airline once or twice just because they tend to be cheaper if I'm returning to the same place, and I never get the flyer miles. I think I need to make a commitment to start doing that because I'm flying enough miles. There's got to be free stuff I can get, and I don't think it's that hard to be committed to the frequent flyer mile game. I don't think it's that difficult a commitment. It's one I should reasonably be able to make. I have a couple traditions that I forgot to mention when I was talking about my graduation rant. They're sort of family traditions. We got to do two of them. One of them started when I graduated college because I graduated, and my brother, who is 18 years older than me, he graduated maybe 9 months before me. Took a much more circuitous route to get his degree. He didn't even have us go to the graduation ceremony. He wasn't going to walk or anything. I think we had a dinner. Meanwhile, I went, graduated at 22 from South Carolina, and we went to the graduation, and as soon as it was over, my mom made him put on my cap and gown, which wasn't hard, but made me take it off, and we spent probably the first 15 minutes post my graduation taking photos of him so she could pretend that he had graduated and she had the photos. I mean, he had graduated, but pretend he walked and stuff so she could have the photos. So at this graduation for my other brother, there's 4 boys in the family. Max, after the graduation lunch, I ran outside to my brother Jesse, the 4th one of us, and gave him the cap and gown, which he put on outside so he could take a fake graduation photo, which was hysterical because he has a huge beard that he ended up looking like a professor at Hogwarts. It's unbelievable. He looks like Dumbledore just graduated college the first time around. Like Dumbledore's graduation from Hogwarts photo. That's probably the best way to say it. But it was amazing. It was a very funny family tradition. We posted the photo. It's a good time. So we'll always have that. And then another one that I started to do with my brother who graduated, Max, and my cousin Shannon is when the 3 of us get together, we have a fake band that we always talk about as if it is real, even though none of us play any instruments. And we will figure out a way, if we can, when we're all together, to take fake band photos. And we've taken a couple of them in different locations. Sometimes we have instruments, sometimes we don't. It's a lot of fun. And now my brother has kind of gotten into it and said he would take the photos and helped us out because he wants to use them as blackmail to make fun of us to our children, our future children. So I know families have very quirky, sort of funny, creative things that they do when everyone gets together. That's one that has just kind of popped up over the last couple of years, but I like it a lot. I'm hoping in the next 10 years we'll have a crazy amount of band photos. And we went to a cookout, and my cousin Shannon was flipping through her phone to look for a different photo to show someone we just met. And she said, "I saw your picture. Do you perform at open mic nights?" So clearly our band photos are working if someone thought that they were real and we were a real band. Our band name is the petite abuelas, or the little grandmas, for those of you that aren't fluent in Espanol. You're not fluente. But yeah, if you don't have a weird, quirky tradition, make one. They're fun. All you have to do is get together and pretend you're in a rock band and take a bunch of weird photos. I mean, do something like that and just keep carrying with it. Or everyone should have a fake band. It's a lot of fun to be in a fake band. You look wicked cool. I was killing it in a denim jacket and stuff. I was killing it. It also helped that my brother's in a real band, so he had a bunch of instruments I could fake for the photo. But still, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 today, we're going to talk briefly about the gorilla. So what's happening right now is everyone's freaking out because the baby fell into the gorilla tent area, the gorilla whatever cage, but it's not a cage, so it's just like the gorilla zone at the zoo, and the gorilla Arambe, as he is known, he had the baby, or like the toddler, I guess the boy's like 3 or 4, and basically there was nothing they could do or whatever. They didn't feel comfortable, and they end up killing the gorilla. Some people are pissed, some people understand, some people don't care about the life of a gorilla. This is what I'm saying. This is natural selection. And what I mean by that is this kid wasn't smart enough. His parents didn't teach him well enough to not go in the gorilla cage. When he was in there, he didn't do enough to run away from the gorilla. Natural selection, he got in the cage. He wasn't smart enough. His parents weren't smart enough to watch him, to take care of him, to pay attention to where he was. And then he fell into a situation where a bigger, more dominant predator, in this case, could take advantage of him. You know, smarter kids would survive. Better parents would survive. Not the gorilla's fault. Not the gorilla's fault. You know, natural selection. The gorilla got put in a situation where it doesn't know if it's threatened or not. It doesn't know what's going on. It's got to make sure it's protecting itself and whatever else. It's in its zone. We as humans have the entire world. We can go wherever we want. That gorilla has that one, 200-foot zone. And a human that it doesn't understand fell in there. That's natural selection. That's Darwinism to me. You know, the dumb kids fall in gorilla tanks maybe. They die. Smart kids or kids with better parents, kids who are a little bit more like, wait, this gorilla's not here. Or when they fall in, who have a heroic parent who somehow gets them out or does something. There's some other situation, some alternative ending where natural selection helps that situation. That baby maybe survives. And so that's my thought. My thought is natural selection. I'm sorry, that's what happened to that kid. And we all have our problems. I mean, I admit, if this was the wild, this was the jungle, I wear glasses. I don't see well from long distance anymore. You know, that would make me a much easier target for a predator. I'd probably go down way faster than someone with great vision. Now I have a busted shoulder. I wouldn't be as good at climbing trees, foraging for food. I'd probably get picked off in that way. Survival of the fittest. It happens. I do want to say, someone was saying, well, you know, what are you supposed to do? You can't, it's hard to watch the kid and blah, blah, blah. And like, what are you going to do? Put your kid on a leash? You can't do that. Well, I was put on a leash once. And this is why I'm still alive, survival of the fittest, because my mom paid more attention and because I was a tiny bit smarter. When I was 5, we did a road trip all along the West Coast with me and all my older siblings. We went to all these different places, and we were at the top of the Grand Canyon, and my mom was taking a picture of my other siblings, and I started to say, hey, mom, take a picture of me, take a picture of me, and I started to back up very close to the edge of the Grand Canyon. I was about 4 or 5, just like this little kid in Cincinnati, and I started to back up, and my mom freaked out, and she just looked at me and said, freeze, really, really loud. And I stopped because natural selection, I knew I probably shouldn't move. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't do anything else. And my mom's parenting was super good to the point where when she yelled at me in that tone, I knew that I had to freeze. I stopped moving. She walked over. She grabbed me. She yelled at me a bunch. And then they took the strap, one of those straps from a suitcase that we had with us, and clipped it to my dad's belt loop and my belt loop on my shorts. And the rest of the trip, whenever we got to like a high location, I was belted to my dad. Like I was literally chained to him. Like I was like a human leash. And that's okay because that's natural selection because I survived it and there were no gorillas or any other animals. Shout out to Arambe. None of those gorillas were hurt in the making of that tragic story of the time I had to wear a luggage belt leash. So you do what you have to survive in this world. Natural selection. I don't think it was the gorilla's fault, but I'm not so outraged that I'm going to freak out about it. But I just think we need to hold people accountable. Not necessarily this 4-year-old, but maybe his parents should be held extremely accountable. And then hopefully there's some type of instinct the next time to figure something out to solve this problem in a different way. But who knows? Anyway, that was the time I was on a leash. That's today's Morning Deuce. Tomorrow we got a great interview all about the psychology of positive thought, about putting yourself mentally and physically connected into being the best person you can be. I have a friend who runs retreats. We're going to hear all about that and about, getting to being your best self and taking control of your life. So we'll learn that tomorrow in a really cool interview. Morning Deuce. I'm out. hashtagtrending.com.
Yeah, I know you like to bang, yo. Don't stay, but lean a little bit closer. See, roses really smell like boo boo boo. Yeah, roses really smell like boo boo boo. I know you like to bang, yo. Don't stay.